it's Jessica with Southern Sparrow. Let's walk through another practice of choosing our Mahjong hand after a deal. So I've gone ahead and dealt myself 13 tiles. I did go ahead and get organized because you know your girl's long-winded. I'm trying to keep these short. And I also just laid out, I was flipping some tiles over. I laid out our right over left, left over right in front of me just to make it easier. So let's look at what we've got here. So we have a single flower, we have an 8 dot, we have a 7 crack, a pair of 8 cracks, an 8 bam, a pair of 9 bams, and then a north, a pair of easts, a west, and a south. So there's kind of a lot going on here on our rack. I kind of like this hand that we've been dealt here. So, okay, let's look first for a section, right? That's the first thing that we're gonna do every time we get dealt. I kind of like that I have a bunch of wins. I've got 5 wins. That maybe puts one of my sections over in Winds and Dragons. I'm also seeing that I have, 7, 8, 8, 9. Maybe I'm consecutive run here. I also see I have 8s in all 3 suits. Not a bunch of them, but I have 4 total in all 3 suits, plus the flower, which is required in all 3 of the hands here in any like number. So there's 3 really viable sections on this National Mahjong League card that works for the tiles that I've been dealt. So if that's the case for you, the first place to start is just by counting your tiles. Okay, let's count tiles for each section. So I have, for any like number, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles that work for a hand in any like number. I like those odds. Let's count for consecutive run. I have, well, maybe a flower works. Yeah, I guess if I was doing 2 suits, I would want to dip a little bit tighter into this. I'd maybe be looking at this bottom line in 2 suits. I would say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 7. 7 towards this line here in consecutive run. That's an interesting option. And then I have 5 that are just straight wins, but what about wins that require other numbers, right? Let's see. There are a couple of hands on here that require numbers. So you'll see about halfway down in Winds and Dragons, you have a north and south hand. So north and south get paired together, east and west get paired together. You have a north and south hand that requires odd numbers, and then you have an east and west hand that requires even numbers. So what do we have? We have 1 north, 2 easts, a west, and a south. So if we were looking at north and south, do we have like odd numbers? We do not. So that would not be a viable hand option for us. But we do have like even numbers in our 8s, right? We have 4 8s, and then we have 1, 2, 3 easts and wests. So those are the wind pairs that go with the even numbers if you're gonna do these any like numbers. So that puts us at 7 tiles. So really I'm 7 tiles towards a hand in consecutive run. I'm 7 tiles towards a hand in wins. At that point, if you're evenly matched between sections, just pick the one you're most excited about. I was kind of excited about the wins I got dealt. I think that I may say, let's go for these like numbered wind hands. I kind of think that these are fun hands to put together. And I like to just get organized, kind of matching what we've got going on. Now, I know that we still have not done a single Charleston pass. So I've just been thinking in this first Charleston pass, trying to find that section. I have, though, kind of narrowed it down to a single line in that section just based on the fact that I have 7 tiles towards that line in the section. So my rule of thumb, and a good rule of thumb for you to follow, is if you have 6 or more tiles towards a single line, a single hand on the card in your chosen section, just lock in on that hand. You will be much more likely to make sure you don't miss any discards throughout the game. Make sure you're really gathering things during the Charleston that make sense for you if you're locked in on a single line. So as soon as you have 6 tiles towards a single line on the card, go ahead and lock that in. I've got 7 towards this single line. We're looking at the 3rd from the bottom. That's that east and west with like even tiles, and I'm doing it with the 8s. So let's do our first Charleston pass. I'm gonna break up our wins because I don't want someone else who's building a wins hand to end up with something that they need if I'm sending a bunch of wins together. So I'm gonna pass these 3. I'm gonna pick up my first right. That's these 3 here. Let's see what we got. We got a 3 bam, a 2 bam, and a green dragon. I don't need any of that for what I'm building here. So I'm gonna pass those. This is our stuff we don't need. This is our stuff we do need. Let's pick up this next pass. Let's see what we got. Okay, ooh, an east, we like that. we got a 6 dot and we got an 8 dot. Aha! 2 tiles towards our hand. So the person passing that must have thought, oh, I'm breaking this up pretty well. But they didn't know that they were helping us so much by giving us 2 tiles. So now we have 3 of those easts. We have 2 of the 8 dots, 2 of the 8 cracks, an 8 bam, and a west. So let's put that in order. We're looking here. We know we need a single of something. So our single is probably going to be our 8 bam, right? Then we need a pair of the second and a pung of the third. So we have 2 pairs. One of these will turn into our pung depending on what we end up drawing. And these are the tiles that we don't need. So we're going to pass these 3 and pick up our next pass. Oh, y'all, we're being lucky in this Charleston. We got a west here. We also got a 5 dot and a 3 dot. So we don't need those. But look how many tiles we have towards our hand. We are doing so well in this Charleston. These are going to be the 3 that we've passed. Again, we're passing a flower, but that's because we're very locked in on our hand. And so I feel comfortable passing that flower. Yes, never pass a flower is a little rule of thumb, but it's not a National Mahjong League rule. Never pass a joker is a National Mahjong League rule. So even if you can't play your jokers, you may not pass them in the Charleston. We're gonna pick up our next pass and we're gonna see what we got here. Okay, we have a soap, we have an 8 bam, and we have a 1 crack. So, well, we already have our pairs here. I would say we hold on to this, but because we do need a single anyway, maybe we go ahead and pass that. We're gonna pick up our last pass here. We don't need any of those. So we're now ready to do our Charleston. We're ready to do our courtesy pass, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tiles towards our hand. That puts us in an amazing space before the game has even started to only be 4 away from winning on this line that we've selected in the section that we chose. So keep practicing at home. There's videos on how exactly to practice this, but just follow this method. You're gonna get out your tiles, you're gonna draw yourself 13, that's your deal. And then you're going to pick your section after you get organized. You have to get organized on your rack so that you can see what you have and pick your section, not a hand, a section. Oh, I have a lot of odd numbers. I'm gonna go for 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Or in this case, oh, I have a lot of winds and dragons. Well, let's play in winds and dragons. Pick your section and then start to collect for that section. And as you get 6 or more tiles towards a single line, that's your line to play. Happy Mahjong, y'all.